All right, welcome back to Soul Spark Tarot. I'm your host, Mr. Anu, and we're going to give you a few different readings today, just for you. Got the music playing in the background. This is ARVM Beats, free J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar type of beat, JID type beat called Throne of Evil. Let's see. All right. So that was a cool little intro. No words needed other than how we introduced and felt. Whatever you felt, I think that's the message. And to me, I want to try to see what the message is for the collective. And then you can put yourself in the right spot relative to the collective thought and your own intuitions. As we focus on how we can work on ourselves, I want us to focus on the emotions that we have for ourselves. That's old. The ones that are dark, the ones that are deep, the ones that even make us weep. Take a look, take note, and understand which one of those things make you feel good and grow, or feel down in the dumps. Even if it's every occasional, still take note. So what does that mean? You got to know what's happening over and over in your life. You got to pay attention to the things that keep repeating themselves. And then you learn about you. It's you. So like, if you do something and then you stop, how did you feel when you were doing it at the beginning versus the end? If you don't have enough experience, keep trying. That's like a reason to. And I think that's the challenge of overcoming our own negativity. Our own negativity sometimes is a positive thing. That's hard to really like get over, the fact that what you admired and lived life for and gave attention to yesterday. I mean, that was a good thing for me. And so because that was a good thing for me at that time, now it's a different time and I feel different about it. For the fellas, it's be like post nut clarity. It's like, damn, this is all different. What is going on here? Where the fuck was I? And that's the whole cool thing about it. You know, if we can understand things like that externally, then that means we can learn those things and then learn how to apply those things on an internal way. We got to do it two. You got to do two on the opposite, and most people don't want to take the time to do two. But look, these are wonderful cards to split on. You you got to understand that is the whole key. When you're doing two things at once, that is the key, and it makes you different. That's the whole point because you're establishing that there's two things, but you're trying to turn them back into one by just being yourself. So you're learning from yesterday, in other words. You're learning how to take what you have today. Maybe that's less energy because you worked out yesterday. So now, how do I work out today? You're trying to see in the light while being the light on both sides. Both sides does not include what you want. It includes that you're trying and then what you were. So those two things are closer together than the past and the future. That what you're doing right now, that is the key. But if you are able to do more at one time, that is how you see your shine. It was beautiful because I came up with this thought the other day. Came up with this thought, meaning I was living life and up popped the thought. I came up with this thought and it was talking about how uh, in the past I think I said like everything changing what changes when changing. And that's referring to how there's a change inside you and a change inside your external, or there's a change inside your external, and then there's no change in you, or there's, you can find some kind of change relationship or on off switch. And no matter how many candles you have, no matter how many switches you got to go through, there's still just that one thing called a sequence. This way for yes, this way for no. So it always comes down to a dichotomy, a choice of two. But if you can be the two choices, then you can see things a little bit differently. And this is the idea of separating yourself twice, doing multiple things at once. If you got to hold the baby and cook, guess what? You're multitasking, is what we'll say. But we can do this thing energetically. We can do it a lot easier energetically than intellectually. Um, but we're just not aware of these differences. The reason why you can feel it more is because the body is limited physically, but it's not. There's one way that the body is not limited in, and that is its ability to connect with the mind. The body has an infinite amount of capacity relative to connecting to the brain. That's crazy as fuck on something that is limited. So the fact that you can learn anything in this world and you're limited to just little old you, that is amazing. So it's the same to me. It's the same to me. Um, been shuffling and shuffling. I don't know. But all of these different shuffles, it's still one deck. And these different combinations, sometimes they have similarities. Like we've seen the sun. But I haven't been looking at the sun. And then we got the ace. It's showing you that you are so many different aspects. It just depends on what time are you showing yourself. How are you maneuvering yourself? What are you doing in the right now? Because those things change what you see. And as you change what you see, you have to be focused on C squared. You gotta see squared. You gotta see in a box. And you gotta see across the line. That's what it means to square. You gotta see the fold. So you must be the unfolding, the ing, so we can predict where we're going, where we're heading, what we're anticipating, what we can now unfold in other areas as a more and more large picture full of clarity. How can we increase from one single ace into the 10? How do we multiply? How do we expand? How do we grow? Well, it's through the emotions because, again, you can put an infinite number of thoughts upon a single idea, but how do you feel about it? That is how your body's going to respond. So let's say we're focusing, and that's the end of the story. You're focusing. Whatever you're focusing on, that is the key. And that is what's going to help you understand how to get a brand new energy. A brand new energy that is going to be influencing all other areas of your life. It's you establishing what your fuel is. It's you deciding that if you're going to go hiking, I can choose this Gatorade, I can choose this soda, I can choose this pop, I can choose this water. I can choose this flavored water. I can choose this sparkling water. I can choose coffee. I can choose some tea. I can make a choice of some drink. I can do it. It's a lot of different choices out there. But if you don't know yourself, then you won't know which fuel you should bring for yourself. So guess what? You might, in the happening, wish you had something else. You might run out of fuel. You might do something, that seems as if it's going to hurt you. You got the 9 of candles and you got the 7 of potions. This is said that you've already gone through the battles. You're the victor. You've overcome. You've reached your breaking point. I like to think of the 9 as all the different individual use. And so my example I normally use is like a boxer who's been um sorry, there was this bus that distracted me, who's been the champion over time, let's say, right? And over a decade, every single year he can reflect back into like who he was and how he completed his job, or you know his record of knockouts versus like draws. He can look back at each year and he can like understand what he did to get that outcome. And sometimes it's something different. And a lot of the times it's a lot of different things. So as we get older and we reflect back, we're going to always see things a little bit differently. So this is the idea of things having confusion. So now instead of approaching things that are new, let's say, with confusion, you approach them and then you cast out, you project, you say, all right, here are the things that I've seen before. Here are all the potential illusions. So we're going to let these, let's say, traps, we're going to let them lay where they are. And those who are attracted to those things will find out why they're attracted to those things. And guess what? Sometimes it's just because they don't know. Sometimes it's because they know exactly what the fuck is going on. It is the idea of the nature side of just life changing. But with this card next to it, this is telling us that we've learned our lessons upon the things that we see in this world. We know what's good for us and what's not. I see that, I'm attracted to that, but I'm not going to do that because I've learned some lessons. I know I might get stuck or some shit. No, I can't. I'm going to maneuver myself around that. And guess what? I don't even give a fuck about none of this other shit over here. But the one thing that could have stopped me, I was conscious enough because I have some practices of me being different places. And look, some burnt me out more than others. And that's the whole idea. I know what fueled me. So guess what? Stop yelling at your friend if they want to go hiking and bring a Coca-Cola. Like, if they gonna bring a Coca-Cola and on their hike, let them. You don't know, like, if that's what they need. Of course, you would want them to do things that you think are good for you and that you know would be good for them, but timing matters. Timing matters. And so when you do things, say things, treat things the way it needs to be treated at that time, then you can progress with that thing over time. Even though it's not even you who's changing, you know how you feel. So you know how they feel. And because of that, you are just now allowing the time buffer of life to resonate. We say we're just getting on the same pages. Let's say teachers say, open your book, boom. Everybody just open their book. Some kids might not even open their book. They might say, what page? The teacher's going to be met with a lot of different responses if they don't give that extra detail. But this might be a pop quiz in the sense of which of the students are going to use some of the rules that we've learned, some of the techniques that we've been introduced to, some of the strategies that they possibly can come up by themselves. What are they going to do? We call this critical thinking. Now I got this understanding of, okay, I got my parameters, but I'm going to allow for full free will, full freedom for the kids to make their own choice to solve this potential issue. The kids are being met with this 7 of potions now, or the confusion of the opportunity, the freedom. That's what it is. It's freedom. And so because you've had experiences where you've not been free, but then there's other times where you've been free, then there's been limitations to what we called free, then you reach some newer level of freedom, like in this situation now. Or like when you go to that funny ass noise. Or let's say you at recess. Let's say you at lunch recess versus morning recess versus PE. There's going to be different versions of you that come out that make you feel free. So the idea is, how can we just account for all of them and bring them all some justice, and then make sure that we do the appropriate thing that we need, or acquire the appropriate information in the right now. So again, I'll give the kids 30 seconds. Boom. You didn't tell us a page. I'm getting yelled at. Some kids might come up to me and intimidate me, try to push me or something. Give me the page number. Then got some other kids who think about some shit. Well, all right, we talked about this for the last week. We did this. And there'll be other kids who be like, bro, you don't want to tell me, I ain't gonna do shit. And then there'll be other people over here like, bro, I don't know what is going on. And there'll be other people over here that'll just be laughing. And so, like, these are all the different lives that are being lived in that one moment. That is all of this confusion. I make it sound a little more fun, right? I make it sound interesting. I make it sound like if it isn't a bad thing. That's because I'm taking all of these experiences of just being the champion. And now the most champion thing I can do is make other champions. The whole key is that your level of capacity upon one of these experiences is all that you have. So just like in the educational world, all of those kids are going to have fun in all of their classes in every grade at some point in time. But the time that they can recall with me doing these things, let's say of exploring your creative thinking and actions and strategies, by way of just simply not giving you a page number, making you figure it out, and, having the joy of hearing people's responses of once they actually hear the page number, they can see how close or how far away their own free will led them. There's no feelings behind there as if you didn't do enough for me or not. You feel like you've done enough for yourself. And because you figured out something on your own, even if you figured out that, damn, I was wrong. Even if you figured that part out, those are the responses that you want to allow for yourself in the present moment, because those things become a part of the past. And because it feels better, because we can have so many more areas that will create thoughts that we can now replay over and over at an infinitude, Now we can see all the great energies that can be produced. We can see it grow and proliferate because it's growing off a feeling that we want to keep feeling, so we keep on feeling that feeling. Yeah. So let's keep the feeling going. And we'll see you on the next one, man. We'll come back and get some details. All right. Keep on feeling, I guess. Peace.